What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Season 4 of Comic Book Nation, your one-stop spot for all things geek culture and the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me, I got my co-host, Matthew Aguilar. To every little thing that happened there, we got to talk about what happened on the DC TV front because it was a massacre. So we got to get into that. We also got to kind of break down some of these trailers for She-Hulk, The Umbrella Academy. We just got a bunch of Stranger Things footage that just dropped right before I walked in here. And we got to start off with our lead story, the big headline, the thing none of us saw coming this week, but makes a whole lot of sense for reasons we'll break down. Daredevil is MCU official, y'all. It's back.
Let's go!
Daredevil is coming back. Daredevil's been announced. It has a Disney Plus series. This thing is already in gear. It has writers. It has producers. It is going to, and we got in some vague details. There is some discrepancy about whether this is like a reboot total or a continuation, because the reportings on this series use terminology, the first Marvel Netflix shows, to get a new but continued series, which is a weird sentence to write.
That's confusing.
That's one you have to think you spend time on, like when you're looking at it, like, what is my life and what am I doing here? As most writers do. Like, that's a sentence before you let it out the door. You really you feel like you kind of gotta comb over. But Daredevil's coming back. And we obviously we knew this was in the works. Mm-hmm. Our boy Vincent D'Onofrio, friend to this show, Vincent D'Onofrio, still our best interview ever, came through in right after Hawkeye and kind of, spoke about how this is this weird gray area of carrying the old Daredevil mythos, but it's Marvel now, and it's different, but it's not, and kind of that weird line they're playing with. And he straight up said, he indicated, like, you pick the bits and choose, or you pick the bits and choose the bits that you can bring over to the MCU, and you stick with those. But where it can't connect, you just got to let that go. And that was kind of his thing. And I feel like that's what we're going to get.
Good for him, yeah.
So, Daredevil back. Producer, the Covert Affairs creators, Matt Corman and Chris Ord are going to be in charge of this show. So already that's kind of feeling like a little bit of a different tone. Stephen D. Knight's like sticking people's heads in doors and, through fence spikes. I think this will be like a little bit more kind of not subdued, but like in more of the MCU brand, but can still be hard hitting.
I was going to ask you that question. I'm not expecting as much violence as the Netflix one.
Yeah, personally. I think Vincent D'Onofrio gave us a great answer where he was like, you can still like be violent, but you can't do it in a certain extent. Like you can't torture people and do this horrific stuff that we saw.
Yeah, like Netflix. That car scene with the car door. I would imagine you'll still get scenes like that, but instead of just hovering on the thing for what felt like 10 minutes,
way too long.
you'll get a quick thing and then a cutaway, or what you'll get the impact, but it won't be. They'll just find ways to rein it in a little bit.
And instead of Fisk, bashing people or choking them over desks, you could just, I think we'll get a lot of shots of Wilson, Kingpin saying stuff and walking out of rooms while we hear implied violence, taking place, like call. Horrific things. Like, if anybody's seen Snatch, it's easy. You just walk into a room, you fill it with plastic wrap, and it already feels
he was
pretty
violent
horrific.
in
Hawkeye. He's beating up a little girl.
It wasn't like a pushover.
Not a little girl, but he was beating up Haley Steinfeld, who's half his size.
Throwing her around,
So, all right.
He's a kingpin, son.
Yeah, all right. Oh, man. It looks like we're frozen on the stream. Is anybody even out there hearing us right now?
It's okay.
It looks like there's
we do have listeners on podcast.
Yeah, we do have podcast listeners, so we're going to keep going. For our stream watchers, sorry for this portion. I don't know what's going on. We've been having some internet problems in the studio, but the show must go on. So we're going to look at our own cool video packages and all that stuff. And now we're taking it back to the radio show, which is the core of this thing. So
truly.
Daredevil, Matt, how are you feeling about it? I know you're always ambivalent about this Marvel Netflix stuff. So
why am I ambivalent?
Because you have been ambivalent. You're always,
I was excited.
Okay.
I think I was nervous but excited. Sorry, that's a reference. I don't know what that's a reference. An SNL reference. I am excited about this mostly because they're continuing. I really thought they wouldn't, but I also agree with you. They're doing it in the very MCU way. Mm-hmm. They're doing it in the way that I think back when we actually first talked about this kind of topic of what should they do.
Yeah.
We kind of all came to the agreement that it was this. It was cherry picking certain things, keeping those things that work, If you can't get everybody back, it's fine. If you can't reference every moment and keep it in continuity, it's fine. I'm not sweating those small, I know they're important details to some people. They are not super important to me.
I agree.
So I'm just happy to have Charlie Cox back.
Yes.
I'm happy to have Wilson Fisk.
Yep.
Like the big things, it's a win.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for it.
Nailed it, Matt. Like, as long as they have like the core of what it's about, and as long as it's one of the, edgier shows that we're going to be seeing on the platform, like, I'm cool with it. I really hope that they kind of push it a little bit. And I think this is the perfect show to do that. So.
Yeah, I also have a lot more confidence, not even more confidence, but I will say I feel a little bit more at ease with the arguments coming in of like, it won't be the same after seeing Moon Knight. Because they pushed, they leaned into that and they pushed it, and I was like, okay, if we get a Moon Knight level of darkness and grittiness and even violence, okay, I'm good. I'm good with that.
By the way, I just rewatched all of Moon Knight binge. I'm not sure if you guys have binged it yet, but it is spectacular as a binge.
As a binge? Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I want to just say a secret here, and nobody's listening. It's just us in the studio. I've never rewatched any of these Marvel Disney Plus shows, and I'm not sure I ever will.
Wow, I have rewatched Loki, WandaVision twice.
It's
What If?
I'm gonna go deeper since it's just us in the studio. It's hard for me to watch. Like, I mean, I don't rewatch a lot of Marvel stuff. Period.
Okay.
Like, yeah. I mean, it's just
like even the movies.
No. I catch them when they're like on TV or something.
Oh gosh, I'm like a
when they're on TNT or TBS. That's good fun. With commercials and breakups and stuff. Like,
ironically, we have both extremes here.
Yeah,
I don't watch any, and I watch all the time, and I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
It depends. I will say I have not gone back and actually rewatched from beginning to end any of the Marvel shows.
Yeah.
What I have done is go to YouTube and do the compilations of like the best moments, or like in Hawkeye's case, all the Kate Yelena stuff. I watched those compilations of all the moments.
Best.
Those are amazing. So I've rewatched like parts of the shows because I really loved those in a couple of different cases. Movies, it's just really comes down to like Infinity War. I've rewatched that numerous times. The movie's amazing. It's excellent. Still holds up. Winter Soldier still holds up. Like there's certain ones
all the time.
Yeah, there's certain ones that hold up. Like Kofi, if they pop up on TV.
Ragnarok's easy to watch on TV,
but not all of them.
Funny.
I don't typically go back.
No. But all right, I mean, overall, we're all hyped for Daredevil.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's worth noting that Kristen Ritter and Mike Coulter were spotted out together, hanging around and taking selfies together out in California together. So there could be more. Yeah, there could be more. And so where could we see Daredevil pop up in the MCU next? Well, that's a good transition into our next topic, which is She-Hulk.
I just got goosebumps.
She-Hulk. So
thinking of that.
We're going to be
Daredevil and She-Hulk. I just got so excited.
Yeah, She-Hulk. She-Hulk debuted its full trailer this week, and this stars Tatiana Maslany from Orphan Black as Jennifer Walters, and it's been renamed. It's now called She-Hulk: Attorney at Law, which a lot of hardcore fans of the comics really appreciate, and I think it's a smart move because it does help to set expectations, which I wrote an excellent article this week called about resetting your expectations of the MCU Phase 4. But I think this is a smart move to let people know, like, this is going to be kind of like Ally McBeal courtroom drama underneath. That's what we're marrying to superhero stuff here. And there's a lot that I liked about the She-Hulk trailer. Tatiana Maslany is a Canadian treasure. So, like, just like Moon Knight, I know that no matter what goes wrong with this, at the core of it, there's an actress who's going to carry this thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. So I can already take that off of my worries list. There's a lot that I like in the trailer about how they're kind of examining She-Hulk and just the idea of womanhood in a modern context. Like, it is hilarious when Bruce says, like, rage and fear are your triggers, and she's like, isn't that the baseline for being a woman?
Oh, she spoke to my soul there.
And like, I was just like, every girl's like, yup! Like,
Anissa literally watched the trailer and went, oh my God, I'm so hyped for that show. Knows like nothing about She-Hulk as in like a character or whatever. And she referenced that. Everyone I've talked to referenced that line of like, that line is so honest and so true. It's such if that is what captures part of the series, it's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. My wife.
Also, shout out to David Otunga.
I looked right over at my wife and was just like, oh yeah. Rage, fear. Yeah, it seems about right. But yeah, so there is a lot of kind of like funny stuff. Her interactions with Bruce look funny, even if people are critical of this. Again, we're getting this version of Mark Ruffalo's Hulk that not everybody's a fan of, from Endgame, Smart Hulk, and all that stuff.
How dare they, by the way? That's the best Hulk. There's no question.
I saw a hilarious meme right before this, which was like, it was like Hulk and like the original Hulk, and it was like need upgrade, and it was like push button for upgrade, and then it was like Incredible Hulk, push button for upgrade, like then Hulk and Thor Ragnarok, and it was like, oh, upgrade, and then it was like Smart Hulk and Avengers, it was like downgrade.
How dare they?
And then Hulk, and it ended it with this Hulk, and it was like, I said downgrade.
What a load of trash. He is the best Hulk. It's not even close.
Yeah, anyway, man. Whatever. But anyway, like, yeah, so let's get into it. So the Hulk look and effects for TV. I did another podcast with friends called Podcast X, and we were talking about this, and it's usually what I use for my unfiltered, possibly half drinking warm-ups for this excellent podcast that we do today. But I was going into it I went off on this whole tangent about, we're all pretending, like, we keep pretending, and that was part of my Marvel article, that like things are normal now. And like we should be getting normal content levels, like in our usual same polished stuff. But we keep finding out more and more that, like, no, this pandemic screwed up everything, from baby formula to everything else.
Yes.
And movies and TV shows are one of them. Like, there is a crunch to get visual effects completed and up to our usual pre-kind of pandemic standards, because we don't have the bodies all piled into studios clicking away on the ones and zeros. So I'm not apologizing for She-Hulk, but I am saying, remember, like, we are living in a unique time and place with trying to create this stuff. So getting this stuff together and polished is hard. Marketing it normally is hard, and this is always Marvel. You can't ever trust your eyes until you get to opening day.
I agree.
And so
I put out a tweet about this particular thing, though, because that debate started popping up like all over the place online. Because I agree with you. And like, if anyone's been on the show, it's just like, hey, remember, it's still a pandemic for like how long, right? It was just like, that's still happening. People still can't all be together, workflow, shipping, all that stuff, right? It's still affected and will be for the remainder of this year and maybe further.
We had to shut down our studio last week because of it.
So like,
the vid is lurking. We're dodging it right now.
So this stuff has impact. That said, I have no problem with people calling out something that was publicly released by Disney. If it was a leak, totally get it. Hey, they didn't want you to see it, but they wanted you to see it. And by the way, it only looks rough in spots. It's just a couple spots here, but it does in those spots look a little rough. So for me, I'm like, I'm fine with someone calling it out. That said, don't write off a show, because I saw a bunch of trash stuff about that too. Don't write off a show simply because some of the effects look a little rough before it's even out. Like, that to me is where you go way over the line, and that's just ridiculous.
I also think there is a bias here. I think just like in non-green people, we tend to scrutinize the female aspect of it like a little bit more than the male. All Hulk has to do is walk around bulky with half his pants on, somewhat rendered well, and we're like, and then like we're looking at She-Hulk and we're like, oh, those hip curves, no. We need another full render on that. Like, I mean, we're always going to be more critical of this version of Hulk than I think the male counterpart.
I don't know.
Like,
I hope. Okay, I will say some people are. I hope that does not speak for everyone.
It's
that's
just.
garbage.
I think it's natural.
If it does,
I think it's the same principle as like looking nice.
Natural.
Like I think every wife or girlfriend who's ever had to go out at a night with her husband and is like gone through the concept of looking nice is just like, I hate you.
But you know,
like, you're just like, man, that was hard. You like roll some water through your hair, throw on something that's like halfway not been wrinkled, and be like, oh yeah, okay, I'm ready. And the girl's just like, I hate you. Like, I hate you.
I mean,
I think it's the same thing.
I'm gonna shut up. And Janelle, what do you think about that?
I mean, it didn't even cross my mind until you guys started bringing it up. I think you're overthinking it, and I think everyone's overthinking it. Enjoy it for what it is. It's an awesome trailer. If it's your vibe, catch it. If it's not, move on. Like, it's totally my vibe. What spoke to me was not the way she looked, was the way she acted.
Yeah.
So she is a girl's girl. Like, she is swiping through dating apps. She is taking initiative in her love life. She is totally adding some, I'm sorry to say, but sex life to the MCU. And I'm all
Hulk
about
smash
that.
And takes a whole new level.
Yeah, I really like seeing the MCU actually, like, touching on a topic that is never touched on ever in anything, and it's flirting and, you know, possibly bringing a date home at the end of the night and carrying him like a baby.
Which is one of the
He's
that's such a great
so
scene.
hot too, and I would carry him like a baby as well if I wasn't engaged.
I agree with you. It brings a level of relatability to the MCU that area has just been very lacking.
Yeah.
Because we don't get to see a lot of the regular lives side of these heroes.
Yes.
We get to see a lot of them in powers and stuff, and this has some of that too. But yeah, the tone is, I'm hyped for this show.
Me
I think
too.
this is all the things I loved about like Dan Slott's run and some of the other runs over the years that have leaned into that. This area of She-Hulk.
Bun says I'd let her carry me.
I'm not.
In the chat.
I'm not sold. Like I'm not sold on this or Ms. Marvel.
Okay.
How dare you?
Not because.
You're entitled. That's
No,
fine.
it's just because, again, as I wrote in this exceptional article about resetting your expectations for MCU Phase 4, there's just a missing, comparatively to Phase 1 and some later phases, I feel like there is just a general sense of pointed direction and thematic purpose that's missing from tying this all together
just so much
as an
content now.
overall saga. And like, these two shows seem they hint at being kind of rudderless, and I hope I'm wrong about that.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a clearly great theme to do in a post-Me Too era of She-Hulk that you can do, and just like the new She-Hulk comic we read like a couple months ago, which was just wonderfully, refreshingly straightforward, but like obviously had come through the filter of a modern point of view of all this. And I think you can do that. And
But this isn't giving off like similar vibes?
Not yet, but I think her unique way of embracing Hulk and taking anger and fear and the thematic thing about how a woman is able to deal with these things in a way that even in a sort of strength that even that a man does not possess, while Bruce is all like, "Wah!" Like Jen embraces it, takes it, makes it part of her, enhances her life with it. That's an excellent superhero story and larger, much deeper thematic work.
I agree.
That you can do, and I hope this series.
But we don't know that
is
this isn't
aimed.
doing that. is all
No, I'm saying that's
Yeah.
why I say it with a hope.
Yeah.
My excellent article is always from a place of hope with Marvel. That these are the biggest movie magic makers in the business. I still think they can do it. I just feel like right now it feels a little rudderless in each project. While it's interesting in and of itself, doesn't feel connected to the larger saga as much as I would want.
Question.
So that's all I'm saying.
We do have chat back on YouTube, just
YouTube,
in
yeah.
case you're wondering. And Barkwood Comics is saying, I'm calling Thunderbolts and the Raft in this show. Is it too soon to start thinking about, you know,
No, but this was
villains and
our
plots and
this was our whole
crossovers?
transition before we crashed and I got distracted. But this I think that Daredevil was announced because of the dominoes, and I think that as much as we like to say, you know, Marvel could have held this trailer longer. You got to remember this is a you know, a card stack in a house. It's a house of cards and dominoes, right?
Yeah.
So I think there are always reasons and times on the calendar where they hit a deadline and they're
Yeah,
like,
for
okay,
sure.
we got to start doing this so that X, Y, and Z. And I think they got to do this because I think Matt Murdock was going to show up in here. Things like the Raft, because the whole legal system of the MCU,
Yeah.
this is what this is going to open a door to.
And
Just
that's
like Moon
right
Knight.
in the middle of all
Yeah,
that.
Matt's in
love
there.
that.
The Raft is in there. Things like the Thunderbolts could be in there, and just how superheroes are now being publicly used. Jennifer Walters is an attorney. You know, all of this evolution of superheroes, and getting back to something that other people have criticized is how does normal society feel about all this?
Yeah.
Like we've seen like Thanos nearly conquer the planet. Everybody's been blipped, and like we really don't get a sense of like, what is the real world saying about all this stuff, you know? So, like, I think this will help to open the door to all of that. And, like, they're going to be kinds of cameos and setups and references and organizations and stuff we haven't been able to see before. Because just
great.
getting in to see Abomination's got to be a whole thing, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
absolutely.
there you go.
Love it.
Yeah, but I think we got way deeper into this than I intended to.
dang,
It's
yeah.
good, though.
Yeah.
I feel like it's nice to hear that perspective.
Rich, let's get up the Umbrella Academy trailer and just do a quick 30-second plug for that. Because, Umbrella Academy Season 3 is coming our way in June, and I'm hyped for this.
Oh, me too.
This trailer, some people criticize, but this trailer looked pretty fun to me.
Yeah.
This season is the Umbrella Academy versus the Sparrow Academy. You know, they might be doing the multiverse or the Marvel in this, as they have to fight their own alt universe variants. And so I just like the Umbrella Academy. I thought this trailer was a hit. The music, I mean, Ballroom Blitz, the cojones to pull that out after Suicide Squad. We've been waiting on somebody who's going to go back to that but they pulled out Ballroom Blitz and the action scenes. Suicide Squad. Seeing Margot Robbie pop up with guns everywhere.
It's just forever associated with that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But no, the fight scenes looked epic and cool and creative with the different powers and the Sparrow Academy and all that. And the comedy of them just trying to deal with being in this reality.
Right.
Also seems like the family-based comedy seems really good. So I'm kind of hyped for this. So yeah.
Yeah, same. I'm totally pumped. I love Umbrella Academy. This was like very surprising for me because I had no context when I first started watching it. Obviously, I haven't read the comics or didn't know anything about any of them, and I fell in love with so many of these characters. So I've been waiting and waiting for this to come out. Like, I'm ready. Next season. Matt has this sparkling look in his eye.
I'm excited that y'all are excited.
There's going to be multiple dance sequences.
I love him.
And Klaus in the middle of the road. Yeah, man.
Klaus is amazing.
I was very excited for the monkey at the end.
Oh, God. Talk about CGI.
And everything else was for me. Season 2 soured me on the show so much. I came away just I didn't like that season.
It was not an uplifting season.
Just like how I was so bored. I gave up on it. That was one of the ones I just gave up on because I was just so done. So 3 comes in and I like the premise. You know, it's cool, but you brought it up, I think, is this whole like multiverse. We're seeing that in so many different places right now, which is across the movie space.
I think everybody just wants to escape this reality. So like
that I'm just kind of like the premise didn't do enough to really like get me back in. Like I'm just like, give me The Boys season 3. I'm good. I was just always like, I don't know. It just didn't do enough to grab me. So that's me. That's just me though.
I love 5 and Klaus. I think 5 and Klaus.
Oh my God, 5 is the best.
Like make this show. So
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so that's Umbrella Academy. Let's go to our debate. I have no idea where we are in time. I have no idea where we are in the show. Fine. Because I have no idea, because I use Twitch and stuff to
40 minutes. We're good.
Yeah, what's that?
We're like,
No, we didn't start at 11.
Do you want to hit, what do you want?
Where do you want to go?
Let's hit Halo.
Yeah, let's take a break.
Okay.
We'll come back. Just make sure we pay our bills, and then we'll do the rest of the show. Wherever we are in this current podcast. Let's take a break. Comic Book Nation, don't go anywhere. Okay. Man. Good Lord out here making me eat my words today. Comic Book Nation, we're back. I was just going on about how I had no confidence in Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk yet. And then, as I'm saying this, Ms. Marvel just dropped a new trailer, which is now out there live. And this thing is, it's me.
You're in the trailer?
No, I'm in, the video of me is playing. I'm like, what is that sound? What's that annoying sound coming out of my computer? It's me. It's just the stream playing back. All right.
I love it.
So Ms. Marvel dropped a new trailer. It's actually pretty good, and it looks pretty cool. And they show her, they give you some taste of her in her finished costume and having her actual big fight, and it looks pretty cool. So, all right, well, I guess.
We'll
You don't have to
definitely
say
check
it
it out.
so
Universe.
surprised. You know.
Okay, universe, I guess.
It hurt you.
That
Yeah,
last man,
guess
that
you
last
guys wanna
scene.
show me up.
I can't get enough of that. Like seeing her sit on the light post or
Yeah.
whatever. That scene. This is so cool.
Cute.
And I love the Captain Marvel gear she
Yeah.
got in there. And so much of this.
Because that looks like
Captain
it's because
Marvel.
you like it because it looks like your room full. That's
Yeah,
why you like it.
does.
Got
You
my shoes.
got your Captain Marvel
Yeah.
shoes
Got my
on.
shoes.
Looks just
We
like
need
Matt's
shoe
room.
cam.
All right, so
Anyways.
yeah, you need to interview her. I mean, if we put Jamie Jarack with Elizabeth Olsen, we got to give you a chance to interview her.
Yes.
So you guys can compare rooms. And see how many helmets you each have in your collection. All right, so moving on, Ms. Marvel. That was an unexpected little thing that we got. It'll be on Comicbook.com. Marvel. It's a new trailer, minute long, but pretty good trailer there. So let's move on to Halo, the series. Our debate topic today is, did Halo Season 1 deliver? Again, I do this other podcast with friends, and, I use it as a lab to kind of work out some of my darker thoughts before I come
Is this
here.
therapy? Or
Yeah.
is this a podcast?
No, this is the polished version.
That you keep talking about.
I had to start going on podcasts to do therapy to work myself out so I could come here and give you all the light. And that's what we're doing now. So what I was saying is, we've been pretty, I think, some of the most positive people about Halo in the industry as I've poked my head out like a meerkat and looked around. Like the rest of the industry has been not Halo positive.
For sure.
Right.
We've been some of the most, and it's not because we're paid by Paramount. Like, we just like the show.
Yeah, we just genuinely
Getting
like the show.
paid by
Yeah.
the people to watch it is just a bonus. We like to kingpin things.
Yeah, there's stuff on Paramount
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
watch, and
Yeah,
I don't
no,
like.
no,
Like
absolutely.
it's all, it's fine.
RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars is on Paramount Plus, and I'm loving it.
The excellent Sheridan verse,
Bar Rescue just had AEW stars on
Paramount
it.
Plus,
Walked
dog.
right
saying.
over
And
that,
if you
by
just
the
want
way.
to stop and watch some live TV, you can too. So,
I love how, I know. We totally derailed our whole thing of
we're not shilling for the company. Yeah.
Paramount Plus has plenty
All
of
right,
options.
but this show's just off the rails today. But Halo, so season 1 is over.
Yes.
Let's be real, okay? Again, I think, and this is tied back to my whole soapbox about where we are in the industry and the reality of things right now. I'll just frame it like this. I think Halo had one of the best pilots I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a really good pilot.
I also think Halo had one of the worst season finales I've ever seen.
Thank God. I thought it was just me.
No.
Woo.
This was a really bad season finale.
Okay.
You can tell that this is a show where the steam ran out. And I'm pretty sure now that I've watched the last batch of episodes and looking back over the whole season, the steam ran out after that awesome battle episode where, where the Spartans went to war and that was 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
And the Spartans went to war, and then the big kind of beast took the artifact away, and that's where you had the weird subplot where they dropped the girl off, and then she started spying and coming in with Master Chief. Like, things got weird right after that. In the show, and then you had the Quan episode that didn't connect back to anything now and means nothing. That whole storyline with her and Bokeem Woodbine really doesn't mean anything for the rest of season 1 or the finale or any of that. So you can tell where the steam ran out, and the budget, and the creative turbulence, and everybody just being like, man, F this kind
I
of
think that's my biggest takeaway is
Yeah.
that part, the creative, like the back and forth. People got tired of working with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Or hitting a brick wall of creative.
Too many episodes. Like, they just...
No,
they
I mean,
didn't
I
need
think
that
this was a
many.
fair amount of episodes. I just think, again, the pandemic, the creative turbulence, all these things can go wrong on a project. There's so many ways there's usually kind of different ways a project can fail. It can be the writing that never sets you up, the actors who are just not carrying it, or the directing that just doesn't
really
get
felt
the vision
like the
out.
writing for me, honestly, because that's my only complaint.
The story direction
Otherwise-
falls completely apart in this back half of the
Yeah.
series. The moment that battle ends, everything that begins to happen does not connect, does not make sense, feels rushed from, the Covenant. I always forget her name, Meek, or whatever her name was.
Oh, yeah. I never know how to
Oh my
pronounce it.
gosh,
so
where
that's
is
it.
she?
Who?
I forgot.
No, not Quan. We're talking about the
Quan,
Covenant.
yeah.
The Covenant
Okay.
human. Like, the minute that has the whole storyline started to get really muddled and confused, and nothing really made sense.
Yeah.
Like, what the artifacts were, what the visions mean, why does this connect them? Like, what is the significance of all this? What even is the Halo? Why does anybody care about it?
Right.
None of this stuff gets answered in the back half.
True. Very
And
true.
and a lot of this in the finale, I mean, we're seeing the footage play right here. I mean, it looked like a cut scene from Xbox, like from an Xbox from Halo 2. Is what this entire final battle looked like. It looked like a pre-viz simulation on somebody's computer. Yeah. They're like, okay, but this is what's going to look like. And when we go back, film it, fill it in, render it, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And then they looked at the budget and were like, ooh. Like, no, we don't got it.
This moment right there, that moment where he comes down, the brute comes down and like, this whole thing should be epic. And like that moment right there too, when he grabs him out of the air, compared to the pilot, and compared to episode 5, this fight scene looks like it ran out of money.
Right.
That's what it does look like.
It looked like Reboot, the animated series Reboot. Remember that?
Oh my God.
Hey man, that show was
when you have a wide shot of the entire battlefield, and your battlefield is in a place where you can't even afford to render backgrounds. Really, you just need a generic moon and sun, like HD wallpaper background, and like. You just see an army of things that are just from far out, little tiny ant-sized people running, mysteriously looking like their legs don't touch the ground. And then you're like, well, we got to deal with all this, so you just blow a wind that never happened before. Like, it blows everybody away. And
so
you're just
I think I liked it more than you guys. I didn't love it. I don't think it delivered.
I know, I'm more with you.
Okay.
I
enjoyed it, but I mean, I couldn't fight the haters on this one.
Yeah.
Like, I've been staving off the haters all season long, but this looked bad. Like, yeah.
I'm also not as hypercritical. I really do escape into things, and I'm like, I feel like it's my ADHD. I just get like really fixated, and I don't get super critical until it's over.
Right.
So in the moment, I very much enjoyed it. Like watching it, I was really happy to be watching the show because I genuinely like it. But I just left going, wait a minute, where was that other character I liked? What happened to them? Or wait, what? Like just like Kofi said, what was the meaning of Halo? Like, what is it all?
That was me.
What is it?
Right.
Yeah.
I agree 100% with Janelle, because that was me. I can overlook someone who's played RPGs my whole life.
Yeah,
I can overlook bad graphics if the
Absolutely.
gameplay is good.
Yeah.
And in here, there was a lot of stuff that was just like, okay, why didn't we? Here's the thing. I defended that episode with Kwan. Because it was like, as long as it pays off, right? And then they do nothing with it. So you're like, okay, well then looking back, why did we have that?
Yeah, what's the desert people? There's so much of this show that went nowhere. Like, what's the desert people? What's the portal? We started with this character. Like, where is she in the end?
And I get you have to save stuff. I understand. I'm not saying they got to spill the beans on everything. But we needed some concrete answers on a few things. What I did like was... I really dug Master Chief and Cortana's kind of arc as they come together, and you're starting to get trust, and you're starting to see that relationship you saw in the games between them.
And that was great.
That is cool. Some of the stuff with like Kai and like how he kind of won over the Spartans, and when they're all come together as kind of a team.
Yeah,
I dug that. Like the stuff with Halsey, I like some of that stuff of like
she's
how it's the clone,
complicated villain. Yeah, like
it's cool.
Well, there's Rick Sanchez in it out here.
There's some really cool stuff here that I really enjoyed. So I think I enjoyed it more, but I agree. I feel like it was kind of a letdown compared to the highs that this series has hit. And I was coming into this episode hoping that like I wanted it to show that like you were wrong for getting rid of the first showrunner, because I've liked so much of what they did. Yeah. And then after seeing kind of looking back at these last couple episodes and how some of the air went out and things, I kind of leave going like, okay, well maybe the new showrunner can kind of iron out some of those issues and deliver a stronger season 2 overall.
Yeah, and I believe that.
Definitely getting season 2? Is it?
Season 2 is
it was already they booked 2 seasons.
Perfect.
And they've got a new showrunner in.
Yeah.
Nice. We did have a question. Bun said, would playing the game make the show better?
No.
I don't think so. No. I think it's the opposite.
Well, most big game fans are not enjoying the show.
No.
They're very angry. I feel like you can enjoy the show more.
I spoke with a gamer fan last night who was very angry.
Yeah.
Nice, Rob.
Like you can enjoy the show more if you're not like a diehard Halo player. But if you're a casual Halo player like myself, I really enjoy the show. So
agreed.
I will say positive because I was the negative Nelly in this, but I did like most of the core cast did a good enough job. Some people have kind of come at the actors, but I think the core cast of the show did a great job for what they were handed and really sold it. Pablo Schreiber is great as Master Chief. I like the Cortana. I like Halsey. I like even some of the Miranda, like the minor characters, the general, his daughter, and Kai, and those other Spartans are just voice actors. They're video game and animation voice actors. So they did a pretty good job
Yeah.
of stepping into live action, and Kai especially, who is like a breakout character who I think a lot of people will
Character
now
rules.
embrace.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see her get retroactively kind of put up in the Harley Quinn style in the mythos going forward.
That'd be
you know?
sick. She's great.
Yeah, I mean, give female players a great character they'll be able to know and all that stuff. So
Bloody hair. For the
I'm
men.
here for Halo, and I made this point in my other discussion. We've seen plenty of series that have arguably rough starts. Witcher's one of them. People, what's that?
I mean,
How dare
I
you.
love.
No, I love The
dare you.
Witcher, but
I
like
loved it.
the kind of the time jumps, all that stuff was super confusing for people. But you came back in season 2 and then they had it on Smash.
So
and it was,
true, yeah.
And like I just have the same confidence in Halo. It's just like
do I.
there was a mess here. It was victim of circumstance in the mess, but I think they've learned what works, what doesn't, and how to kind of streamline this into the best possible season 2 and use of their budget.
Yeah, there's a lot that works here, and I'm very excited.
Trey's like, I was hoping you guys would convince me to like this show. How you got me into Watchmen. We're still telling you to watch it.
Yeah, you should totally watch it.
You should watch it. You really should, and judge for yourself. But I do not believe this was a waste of my viewing time at all.
No, not at all.
I really enjoyed
Not at
this
all.
series.
Not at
Yeah.
all.
100%.
We're just
All
being
right.
critical of the finale because they had a lot to live up to. In
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, they set a high bar, man.
And we
That's what-
defended them.
Yeah.
Also, we didn't say Witcher correctly. You know you have to say it though.
The Witcher!
There it is.
That is.
All right.
Speaking of shows.
All right, let's move on. Matt, why don't you just take
yeah.
a quick minute and go in on this. Matt, explain to me, because one thing that came out of the TV up front and in general geek culture right now is people keep throwing around the term Gotham Knights a lot. What the hell is Gotham Knights and going on with it? Please explain this to me.
Okay, so Gotham Knights, the first Gotham Knights is a video game. That's the one that was previously announced. That is the one that's been coming for a minute, got pushed. It's the 2-player co-op game where it's the 4 DC heroes, Batgirl, Red Hood, Nightwing, and then Tim Drake. So Robin. So those 4, it's the Court of Owls, Batman's dead. Okay, so those are kind of the main tenets. And you're seeing, they released a big 13-minute gameplay video that you're seeing here, which actually I thought looked, I know there were some divisive opinions about it, but I thought it actually looked really fun. There are some issues that comic fans have, obviously, with why Jason Todd has spirit power and why he's jumping in the air with portal things. And I don't know, there are some video gamey things of that, hey, how do we make this character a little more interesting other than not Nightwing with guns. I understand them wanting to change things up, and I'm okay with it as long as that's not that's the only don't do anything more. He's a really cool character, but that is the gameplay you're seeing here, and I'm excited for this. This looks really good. Now the other Gotham Knights, which was announced by CW as a CW show, that is not. It is related to the game in name only. It is not the same plot. It is not the carryover of. I imagine they will work in some of the characters that you see here, but there are other characters that are in that premise. And also Batman is dead there, but the difference is here, these 4 heroes are stepping in to kind of be the Batman of Gotham, right? They want to solve the mystery of what happened to him, take down the Court of Owls, and also defend Gotham. In the show, it's essentially one of the people is framed for Batman's murder. And then he ends up, which I believe is Damian.
No, it's a new character, Taylor Haynes or something.
Taylor Haynes, okay. So there's a character that is framed for it. He then ends up seeking out some other
and he's Batman's son, but he has Batman's
of kids of villains.
Yeah.
So you get Duella Dent and some other people that are all in this mix. But it is a very different take on this premise and just kind of the mythos in general. So they are alike in name. They are not the same. The one I continually hyped for is Gotham Knights.
The video
game.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Which
video
comes
game
later
looks
this year.
great.
It looks super fun.
I like the storyline.
And I get the Red Hood stuff. This is game mechanics. You got to make sure he can fly like Batman. It's just a Batman engine. Batman can hover over the whole city and fly.
Well, and they showed Nightwing has
a
this
glider,
awesome glider. You have all the
Nightwing
bat
looks
tech.
awesome.
Yeah, he looks awesome.
Jason has Lazarus Pit hopping pads.
They all have the actual the motorcycles can be used by any of them. There's an awesome scene in this, by the way, where you actually see it's actually right here where you see perfect timing where you see Red Hood. It's actually an option where he can hop into that car he's chasing and he goes through it in kind of this little QTE little scenario, but then he can get right back on the bike, and it just gives us adrenaline
That's really
pumping
cool.
chase, which Arkham Knight had Batmobile stuff, but no one will accuse that of like replicating the feel of this. This is awesome. Like if we get this kind of thing, that's cool. So yeah, everyone just kind of ignores that he has guns that have armor-piercing bullets that don't kill. they're magic bullets.
No.
They're magic bullets. You know, they can cut through armor, but they do not cut through skin. Yay.
Interesting.
Everybody.
Okay. So that sorts that out.
we go.
There's one of those Gotham Knights I'm looking forward to, and one I'm just wondering why. But that brings up a good transition point.
Yeah.
So we're getting Gotham Knights on the CW as DC TV content, but that's like one of the only things we're getting. Because as we reported earlier this week, the CW has released its fall schedule, and there's only one DC TV show on it for the first time since the early 2010s.
That's insane.
CW has restructured and is rebranded, and it is not interested in the DC content right now. So fall 2022, we'll have just one DC TV show, which is Stargirl, and that'll be on Wednesdays. And what they've done is, and it's really, I mean, it's kind of interesting, but it's also kind of bananas, is basically the CW has stolen the format of streamers. So they're making content blocks. So like Monday is All American and then All American Independence.
Yeah.
Like Thursday or Wednesday is like Walker's Texas Ranger, and then the other Walker series is all Thursday. Friday is all like game shows. Saturday is all reality shows. Sundays
NBC
all
method. That's what NBC does with Law and Order Thursdays.
Yeah, and
so
Sundays are all
interesting.
procedurals, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy, but only Stargirl is going to be for fall 2022, and that'll be the
wild.
only DC TV show on the CW. We'll get back Superman and Lois, The Flash, and they will premiere Gotham Knights in 2023. But for fall 2022, it will be just Stargirl. Now, this brought up an interesting question that Matt tossed to us, and we were like, oh man, that's not a segment, like, or at least I did. I was like, man, that's not a segment. And then I was just like, it's because it's an easy answer, right? And we all threw out 3 different answers, and I was like, well, I guess we've got a segment here. All right. So the CW, the DC TV universe, and the Arrowverse, I mean, it's been a massacre. That thing has just been torn apart in the last year. Most of it's been canceled.
I know.
And
Gosh,
so
I feel
we
bad.
got into the question of, as I try to get this eyelash out of my eye so I can see, what Arrowverse TV show would we want to see brought back if we got to play God and were given the option? And like I said, we went into this and I was like, oh God, this is so easy. It's not a segment. And we threw out 3 different answers. So let's go with my answer first because I'm a narcissist and just because it's listed that way. And I'm sure Rich has it pulled up, and Rich and Peter are awesome show producers here. I said I would bring back Legends of Tomorrow. That is the show I am bringing back if I get the option. It's an easy... I thought this was the easy call. Like, which one is the most fun? Which is the most irreverent and not one you have to commit as seriously to with all the mythos and stuff? And you could probably get away with a more modest budget because it is just them getting to raid old costume closets and run around and do stuff and be kind of funny and silly. And yeah, Legends was just always the most fun. It was the dark horse series of this entire franchise because it started out as this very ambitious. It was like, we're going to do time travel series. Like, it felt like it was going to be like big budget. They had Hawk people in there, the wings, all the powers, all the stuff. And we're like, wow, DC TV is really going for it. And that quickly fell apart.
Yeah.
But Legends is the ultimate comeback kid by just leaning into the silly, goofy pulpiness of what worked about the show, and then just making that the entire premise.
Yeah,
and
they just kept
changing
doing
it.
what worked with them.
Yeah.
Like they just kept doing what worked for them, regardless of the crisis and all the other things going on. They always just kept
And
moving.
the show evolved and changed, and they were just like, and as things didn't work, they were like, you know what, forget it. And as budget, and I've never seen a show do better with just kind of
losing budget.
like making lemonade out of lemons. They're like, yeah, well, you're slashing your cast and your budget, and they're like, cool. We're gonna make better dance numbers.
I love that episode, by the way. That is so good.
Yeah, like we're making better dance numbers, and we're gonna go full crazy high concept with everything.
now
We're gonna have a
I'm
Clue
like,
episode.
I've gotta watch
like,
this
It's so fun, man.
it's so much fun, and this is one that you can just put on and binge if you're like doing stuff around the house or working, and you will get laughs out of this. I mean, when you can make a big Furby animal your big boss, like Repo, like, and make that awesome, like, yeah. So I want Legends back, and yeah, I deserve, and I would just even change it, like, just so you don't have to get too worked up. Just keep rotating cast members. Everybody else who wants out of an Arrowverse has to go through Legends. That's your new contract claim. Oh, Cisco, you want out? Okay, cool. You got to do a season on Legends. We're going to make you dance before you get out of here. So, I would bring back Legends. That's my pick.
Which I 100% agree with, by the way. It's a great pick. I would love to see, honestly, the only reason I didn't put it on mine, because you've already said that we had 3 different answers, so I don't feel like it's a spoiler. So the only reason I didn't put this on mine was because they have had 7 seasons, and I've loved every bit of it. I would love to see them just get like a small movie, just to wrap certain things up, and then really just send them out as like, I feel like they should have had some advance notice so they could have actually just wrapped certain things up. That's what I would like to see. But like overall, just to keep bringing it back, I'm like, I've loved these 7 seasons. It was just the length of time. I was okay with parting with it. That was me.
Yeah.
So what did you pick, Matthew?
Well, I was gonna let Janelle go.
Okay.
Oh no, we gotta save hers last. This is specifically ordered.
All right. So me, I think I shocked Kobe when I didn't say Legends because I've stumped for that.
No, I thought for sure you were gonna say Legends.
But I said Batwoman because we talked about it earlier. Halo, and you even threw out Witcher, shows that have had rough beginnings, and for Batwoman it actually had some really positive early things because you had Ruby Rose in there and whatever, and then the chaos happened and Ruby Rose is out and she steps away, and then they're finding a new Batwoman, and then they have to like completely recast and change the character, and so then they're just like making everything fit. So I felt like by season 3, like stuff is fitting, like the show is finally able to be the show it wants to be, because they finally had to like put all the other stuff behind them and keep having to build on the run, and then finally they get to the point where they can just, okay, we can do what we want to do, and then they're canceled. And I was like, really? Because there's so many parts of this show, it has not hit the highs I think it can hit, but there's so many parts of the show that just had to react and knee-jerk stuff. It's just a bummer that it didn't get a real whole season where they could just really dive in and not have to worry about retrofitting stuff. I don't know. I was just bummed that we didn't get at least one. And Javicia Leslie is great.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that.
So that was my main
I feel like
that.
Batgirl really never did get a chance to get its footing under it and get over its own
really
initial. It's like, and it kind of sucks because it's like one of the only. I mean, the CW took chances on everything.
I know.
Yeah.
Supergirl made it out of its first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Because that cost a lot more money. That first season they did on CBS, the excellent CBS, was Krista Flockhart. You could tell when they couldn't afford her anymore.
Yeah.
But you think Batwoman would have gotten another chance just to build a content block, but I guess not.
The pick that would have been on here if it had been canceled was Superman and Lois.
Yeah,
thankfully,
you just took mine.
So no, I didn't. No, it wasn't canceled. Yeah.
So that's what.
Let's go into Janelle's because
is.
this is a perfect transition.
So I pretty much, it's so funny because Kofi, you're so good at like just telling it like it is. He wrote Nunya on the list, and I was like, no, or Nunca. And I'm like, no, I
wrote both. That's accurate.
There are a ton that I would be down for. So shouldn't we pull these trailers? And he's like, no, just like,
well, you didn't,
because I'm talking about so many. So
well, that not just that, but you also frame this. My God, you guys are horrible at framing this. No wonder it's got in the driver's seat.
I love it.
Framing yours was you didn't pick any. You were like stone cold execution. You're like, the dead ones are dead.
Yeah,
I'm okay with the death.
Well, because my favorite is Arrow. Obviously, my favorite's Flash, but then Arrow, and I just feel like they wrapped it up.
Yeah,
well.
and so you're like, the dead ones are dead. I don't. And your pick was you don't want any of the canceled ones back. You want them to stop playing with the ones you love that they're delaying until 2023.
So Flash,
there you go.
And
that's the real frame.
Superman and Lois. Superman and Lois was really surprising. I loved it. I can't believe how great this one is. And honestly, I would not be mad if that one moved to HBO.
Ooh.
Because I feel like they could get it to be a little bit more daring and darker if they wanted to.
Extra money too, even though. Credit to CW and the production team there.
Yeah,
Superman and Lois is one of the best looking shows.
So good.
And their action scenes are good.
Yeah, it's filmed well. So so Janelle just wants them to stop playing with the ones that she loves. She wants the shows that she loves back. Why are you holding it until 2023? Stop playing.
Yeah, that is weird. Why are they doing that?
I think it's to clear way for the new content block. I think people needed a break on these shows. I mean, these shows are big undertakings. These people film crazy long seasons and do all this stuff.
That's true.
So I think they just and I think there has been, again, during the pandemic, this stuff has been real. I mean, just think how you feel, and just imagine these are other people, and they probably feel the same way about pretending to be silly stuff during these last few years. It's got to be tough. So they just got a break. But Yeah, I'm good with it. And in the larger sense, obviously, this was bound to happen. The Arrowverse was a pioneer when it came out in the early 2010s, but it doesn't make sense anymore. As everybody's pulling their toys back into their own little toy boxes, and content blocks are built on streaming, HBO Max is out there building, a very different kind of DC TV universe.
Yes.
So, this is like becoming the laser disc of franchises, but that's all good. You do what you can. All right, we're going to move on because I think that's all for our CW TV shows saving. Matt, comics.
All right. In the comics. So let's start with Savage Avengers. Savage. Number 1. I feel like there's a way that I need to say that, like special, like witches.
Savage.
Oh my god.
Savage Avengers.
So this is the new series. This series has been relaunched a couple different times, and it's typically with teams that are just kind of some of the grittier heroes and anti-heroes.
It's the Suicide Squad of Marvel books.
Very much is. And of course, Conan is leading everything because he's out of time and he's now here in the modern world. So this team putting together the team is this whole issue, pretty much. That is what typically happens when you have a team book. The whole first or 2 issues typically are just like putting together a team, having to meet anybody. I did actually like how by the end of this, we have everybody. Everybody's actually part of the team and in the mix by the end of this issue. This issue did feel a little long for me. I don't think it was any longer.
It was long.
Okay, so I'm not alone in that. I was like, man, this is not done yet.
I kept going in and out of concentration. I'm all in and then I'm kind of tuning out.
So the team itself is actually interesting. So we have Cloak and Dagger, Anti-Venom, Black Knight, Elektra Daredevil. We have Conan, of course, Deathlock, and Weapon H. This is a very unique team. I'm all for Flash Thompson being in stuff as his Venom. I love his Venom, so that was down for that from the beginning. But I agree with Janelle. I kind of went in and out because the book takes this thing of, it's like this monologue, and it's like narrating what's happening for you more than it is when you're not in the characters' heads as much. It's narrating almost the entire time of like, oh, he was thinking this and he was in this. And I don't know, there were times when that worked, and there were times with certain characters where I was just like taken out of it. I'm like, I want to hear them talk. I want to hear what they think. And it just kept kind of pulling me in and out. But overall, by the end, I thought it was fun. I don't know if I'm going to stick with the series, but I'm going to probably give it at least one more shot for issue 2 to really hook me. But I like the team. The team is kind of what has me coming back to this. So I don't know. What did you guys think?
I think the odd pairings were good. I think the book thinks it's a lot more grand and deeper than it actually is.
Yes.
Because it was trying to make a whole point about these misfits. And I'm like, bro, you're just collecting an arbitrary list of characters they gave you. And I get it. Like, you got to make this work. But, like, I don't know if the thematic point's as strong and deep as you're making it. Like here, the darkness and light people. Like, nah, bro, these are just some really screwed up, obscure, random Marvel people you've thrown together and to highlight Conan on his way out the door. And none of it really makes sense together. But I'm gonna see where this ride goes. But for what this was and the kind of, and again, we say, like, it's good when a comic can get into deep themes but have a straightforward premise.
Yeah.
And a Terminator premise should be straightforward. And this kind of made it feel muddled and stuff and kind of confusing as opposed to just Deathlock unstoppably hunting everybody and causing all these other people to collide together and ending up in a time vortex. So, I don't know. I was a little disappointed. But I feel like that's the story of Savage Avengers every time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, good to know.
I mean, prove me wrong, kids.
There were parts of the last run that I enjoyed. But it's never been at the. It's never been at like the top of my. I must.
The premise is always sexier than the actual book.
I get that. Yeah.
The ancient Avengers, like being the forebearers of these modern heroes, where you had Odin and the ancient Ghost Rider and the other ancient. What's that?
That's Avengers.
Yeah, but was that Avengers BC or something?
Avengers BC.
Good, that's right. No, Savage Avengers was like Punisher and everybody.
Yeah, like they were brought together.
There's too many Avengers. You out here complaining about Batman.
Coach feels like me for once. I'm like, what?
Yeah, there's too many. So I'm still in for Avengers BC, or is that still also bad?
They're still working that into the main Jason Aaron Avengers.
Yeah, but that's where Conan came in, right?
No.
Oh my god. So I have no idea what's happening on this weird Avengers spin-off thing they're doing.
Yeah.
But this one was just
I feel like that speaks really well because you have like the comic book pro who's a little lost, and then you have like the noob who's a little lost. So I will say that I liked everything we read this week.
Yeah.
So there's no like I hated this
Yeah.
in this conversation
Yay.
for me. But this was the least memorable of the three.
Yeah.
4 for me. But it was, it's fine. It's just,
It's fine.
I don't know these characters, many of them.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, I was like, oh, wow, this guy is trying to save the sacred timeline. He's a good guy. So I didn't know if like Conan was bad or he clearly screwed up something with the time situation. And I was like, is Loki going to pop up? Sylvie? Is Sylvie anyone?
This whole book from Conan on is just Marvel's kind of garbage disposal of stuff we thought sounded cool, but it's probably not that cool.
That's actually
like
really
Conan.
well said.
The whole thing of Conan coming to the Marvel universe sounds cool, but is it?
Yeah.
But
And then
is
like
it-
the emotional thing with Cloak and Dagger, like that I was just kind of like, what? And like I don't.
Yeah.
It
You
felt
guys
out
been
of
watching that
place.
Freeform show?
Yeah, I did watch that actually.
Yeah, no, I
believe
love
it or
that.
not.
I was
Me
gonna say
too.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I love Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And
I'm not
anytime
hating
they
on
can
that.
shoehorn them into anything, when they were in the X-Men books for a minute,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was down. Like whatever, that's cool. But yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I liked
All
it.
right.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to Batman. Your favorite? I know. I always like. I'm like,
just
oh, of
kidding.
course.
No, it's okay. This one was good.
Batman the
Night
Night
is coming out and just.
Yeah.
Woo, boy, it's so good.
It is just Dark Horse sneaking in front there, man. Like, yeah, every issue is just. I think it's just genius that every issue is this serialized storyline, but every issue feels episodic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that balance is just kind of makes all the difference.
Yeah, here we get Bruce and Anton meeting another they're going through all these masters essentially and all these people in Descartes' book. And so you're like, you can teach me a new
Straightforward
skill,
path,
right?
straightforward
and
premise.
It keeps them moving and you just accept the new surroundings. And this one starts off in like a very violent way and you're just like, how did they get here? But you're invested. And then there's a twist and that's fantastic. And you meet this character named Avery and she's the one walking them through. It's like now they already kind of know how to be a thief because they've learned that skill set, but now they need to learn the art of espionage.
Yeah.
And it really comes down to like putting on masks, and that's a theme that I loved how they worked that in,
Yeah.
keep coming back to that. And also I love that this is where Bruce learns that it's okay to play dirty.
Yeah.
You don't have to sacrifice like everything to do that, but it's okay to like step across that line sometimes, even when there's like personal relationships involved. And I love how they work that in towards the end.
Oh, I love how they got, because it's so meta. They get you, and because I was ready to write articles. I was like, oh my God, I was ready to write articles at the end of this. And then I was like, oh, you
Yeah.
got me.
Yeah, you
Because,
got it.
spoiler alert, like, yeah, there is a contest between Bruce and Anton in this. And this was so much fun because we've seen Batman do so many things, and brooding warrior and training ninja,
Yeah.
learning to live like the criminal element. Seeing Bruce go Mission Impossible and have to learn to be a spy is something we really haven't explored before.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. And I think all of these characters and things from Batman lore that are so deeply worked into the lore that Bruce went on this world tour. He learned all these skills, and Batman is just a conflagration of all these things he learned from like stealing and fighting and chemicals and science and detective work and all this stuff. And seeing each of these fleshed out is so well done, and Chip Zdarsky is doing such a good job.
Yeah.
And each teacher he meets is so interesting.
Yeah.
And like cool. And
Absolutely.
all of the stories about how he went through all this. And this is no different. And so them just having a contest at this party, which is like the most un-Batman thing you could probably do.
And they reference that, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
so uncomfortable, and it brings out all
Yeah.
these insecurities. And
in like having to do that, and then the twist at the end is great, where Anton wins and gets the book because he is either gay or bisexual, and he seduces like the general and does that, and then Bruce seduces him, and for a minute you're like, oh my God, they're doing like a whole Batman's bisexual thing, like, and then it's just like, nope, just a fake out. He just used it. He learned the lessons,
Yeah.
and it brings
Yep.
everything together so beautifully that he can't like beat Anton
Yeah.
and being like the suave playboy, but he does, like you said, he fights dirty. He plays on his friends, desires and stuff like that, and then gets and wins. And it was a really, really good Batman origin story, but really good spy story. Like,
Yeah.
and
Did
so,
this kind of bring like the enthusiasm back a little bit?
Yes.
This issue? Okay.
Well, the thing about this that I'm happy about is it's a refreshing perspective on Batman. Like, I'm not getting Batman.
Right.
Well, I was about to
Getting
say,
Bruce.
if you want to get legal, Janelle
Yeah.
could technically make the point that she is still in the right because they are not bringing her Batman. This is making
This is
of Batman.
Bruce. Yeah, and I love seeing that because I don't know how many like backstories there were of this time in his life. I don't know if this is like the only one, but this is my first one of like really getting to know who Batman was before. And he's great. Like, I love him. I also love that like they're kind of telling him like, use your money, dude. Like, money can do
I love
stuff.
that. Yes.
And so it kind of makes you realize like why he is kind of like Bruce in the future of like, he's putting on the face, he's spending the money, he's being flashy out in public, and like that's great, because I've always wondered like, how is this brooding guy also be this like kind of flashy money dude at the same time? So it's definitely helping me understand who Batman is more.
I agree, and this is, again, we come back to this every issue, and I think at some point I will write this, but but at like, this needs to be a series. I know Gotham tackled certain aspects of Bruce's coming up and learning these things, and even some of the World Traveler stuff with Alfred, they kind of went through that way. But just, I need this, and I need like casting of like each of these masters, so to speak. Oh my God, like I want that so bad.
No, I mean 1 episode, 2 episode arcs tops. All just like, almost like anthology, but connected. Just like, making Batman or something like that.
And make this HBO Max so you can get a little, you know, if you want to go over the line, but it doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be.
No, I want to see the whole Mr. Robinson thing with the thief feature. I want that all. Like, I want the Anton Heat. I want it all.
So this, man, I cannot, we came in a little trepidatious about this book when it was first announced.
Yeah, the first issue was kind of like, I don't know.
And every time this pops up on our thing, I go, I'm so excited, because I look forward to it.
Yeah, no, this is really,
Last book of the week is Thor number 25, which continues the Bruce Banner versus Thor saga that started in the Alpha last week, and they're continuing just in the current run. So like, the next one will be in Hulk. So they'll just keep moving. This one takes, I love the setup, because I actually went back, I missed this one last week, so then I went back and read that one right before this, and I felt like I appreciated this a hell of a lot more than I would have if I hadn't, because I had the proper context of why it's not really important from Bruce's side. It's important from Thor's side, because you're like, why is Thor just coming to an all-out brawl? Why did he throw himself into this mix anyway? And when you understand, if you haven't been keeping up with Thor, he's been going through a lot of changes. He's dealt with, like, his whole world has kind of shifted upside down. His new dynamic with his dad, because Odin is now in Mjolnir, and I love, there's one scene in that first issue actually where they're just having conversations with themselves.
Yeah, we talked about that.
At the same time, and so that's so good. So here, you get more of that, but what's great is here it goes further, and you have like Odin inside of Bruce's head talking to him directly. Then outside, you have, like, there's a great scene between Mr. Fantastic and Iron Man, which, by the way, you can already see them pushing Mr. Fantastic into stuff more, right? But I love some of those scenes. There's just a lot of great dialogue here, in addition to the slugfest, including, like, there was a scene, I get them mixed up sometimes. I don't know actually if it was the first issue or this one, but the scene where he gets away from the hammer. Was that in the first one, or was that in this one?
First one.
Was it in the first one? That sets the tone so well.
Insane.
Where he just lets the whole...
That is what happened. I read this. So this one, there's always like a little blurb that gives you context of what's going on and why it's happening. And it said in there how Hulk got away from the hammer. And I went, nope, stop. I messaged Matt. I was like, you have to send me this first one. I have to see this play out. Like, how does that even happen? And so you have to read the first one. I feel like you absolutely have to. Like, if you don't, you're really missing out.
But it's hard to pick up. Honestly, this is something, you can't just jump into this. Like, you have to go back. You have to know what's happened to Hulk. You have to know what's happened to Thor. Just definitely to kind of get the premise of this.
Thor, the Watcher kind of plays it out. Like in the first book, but you have to read it.
But like, you have to know that. But once you do and get the general gist of it, I mean, this is how you do like a whole kind of epic crossover type deal. Like, again, straightforward premise, but still enough to build around it to make it interesting. Like, seeing what's happening on Earth and how everybody's reacting to all this, and how everybody's finally learning about El Paso and that mystery, which random that we learned about El Paso in a Thor comic.
It was weird that was such a big deal in that first arc of Hulk, and you never heard. And I mean, Kate's teased that, like, hey, it'll be a minute, but it wasn't. I didn't think it would be here.
Yeah, in a Thor comic, but hey, we're here.
But learning the context there did help me kind of move Bruce out of the full villain spot, which I think is important here.
Yes.
So now they're both kind of coming from conflicted spaces. There's a little more empathy that I have because now I know that. And then you get Iron Man in the mix, who's so egotistical and like, I built something for this. He's been shredded every single time. And now we get like this new Hulkbuster Buster. Right, if we're going with.
And I love
I'm
that this
so
comic.
worried for Hulk.
I love that this comic had time to waste with just that exchange between Tony messing with Reed Richards.
Or Captain America. Like he's
yeah, that too.
Where he's just like,
no,
he's like, Tony, I didn't know you had the capabilities to do that. He's like, yeah, well, I did this, and this whole Star Trek breakdown. He's like, nah, I'm just kidding. It's like some magical thing. Like, yeah.
It's so good. It was the Ravens, and Spider-Man's over there eating that sandwich.
That's so cute.
So that sets you up for now Iron Man as the antagonist, which I'm perfectly fine with because I haven't liked that dude since Civil War.
You're going to sell... Yo, those hot toys and those Build-A-Figurines.
Oh yeah, they got
Celestial armor Iron Man.
I know I'm gonna get hate for that, by the way.
What?
I know everyone loves Iron Man since the MCU. I've
never liked Iron Man since he was polishing off booze and taking people out for using his armor.
I don't like Iron Man.
Like, it's not my favorite.
I've never come around after Civil War. I still hold it. It's never.
Are we all team Cap?
Oh
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Easy.
We need BD in here then, because he's like the only team Iron Man.
Yeah, him and Connor. We'll have to get him and Connor.
But I think they're like
huge Iron Man
Are they
fans.
comic book Iron Man or MCU Iron Man? Because comic book Iron Man's kind of a D, man.
I think they're talking MCU.
They're very different.
Yeah.
They're very different. And I love RDJ as Iron Man, so don't get me
too.
wrong.
I mean, he does a brilliant job.
I just don't like that character. I never have.
Not the best.
I will say that
comics, by the way.
this comic, can I just say, this has fired me up on comic books again, because I was starting to fall off a little bit. I was getting a little like, okay, I feel like I'm just reading a bunch of things and I don't continue to. I've been getting a lot of X-Men, and I was just kind of not looking forward to the comic portion of our program. And then this Thor and Hulk exchange, like, and I saw you in the comments. I think it was Damon. I haven't been keeping up with Thor or Hulk, and they're not my favorites. They're not my favorites either. Yeah. And this has me hooked, excited. I'm like just pumped. Like, I cannot wait, and I haven't felt this way about a comic book in a long time.
Oh, yay! That's what you want to hear.
All right.
And we're reading less X.
All right. Although X-Men Red is hot, man.
Just the best of everything. Let's do that. Just the really good stuff.
And also, by the way, that is not saying with any shade, because we've had a couple of X-Men books on here that we have universally not dug. Like, there's been a couple duds in that mix. So it's not like before where it was like House and Powers. Yeah. And that was it.
That X-Men Red is hot right now.
X-Men Red's good. And
Immortal X-Men is make me love Hope again. So, you know.
Yay.
You didn't love Hope?
No, I mean, not as much, but not in recent years. She kind of took a back burner, but now she's coming back.
Oh, the 5, man.
I know. But all right, that's comics. That's Comic Book Nation. In our quick mentions, I just want to say, Atlanta Season 3 has wrapped, and man, it goes out on quite a finale, and this has been quite a season. Both the European storyline with the main characters and the kind of interesting rumination it's done on America, and if certain social things in America were to change, has been very crazy. And some great guest stars, like Justin Bartha from The Hangover this season, who carried an entire episode by himself. And Atlanta really went there and was nuts this year, and I'm so glad to have it back. Barry, which has also been renewed for season 4, is also streaming on HBO Max, and it's on HBO. And Barry's awesome. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Of the actor behind Bill Hader, Bill Hader, and Barry is still awesome stuff, and
got renewed too,
series.
right?
Yeah, got renewed for season 4. Mayans is still crazy out there. If anybody's watching Mayans MC, this is also another one with Better Call Saul right now. They're series that creep up and make me love them, maybe more than their original series like Breaking Bad and Sons, but Mayans is nuts right now. We Own This City, which is the next Wire from David Simon, also on HBO and HBO Max with our boy John Bernthal about the Baltimore City Police Department and the corruption there. Crazy good series. And that's all happening on TV right now. So there's nothing, even if you guys are mad at Halo, there's so much good stuff happening on TV right now. You guys got to hit it up. I got a plug for our anime team over here at Comic Book. There are new chapters of Dragon Ball Super, Boruto, and My Hero Academia mangas, all of which have significant kind of game-changing things in them. Anime is hot right now. Jujutsu Kaisen's hot right now. Our team over there is killing it, so be sure you check that out. And we got the second Dragon Ball Super movie coming this summer. Jeez. So those are my mentions. There is content. We are back outside. Next week's going to be crazy. Next week we have to talk about Top Gun.
Yeah.
Stranger Things, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh my
this is all
gosh.
next week. You guys need to be here for all of that.
So
It's going to be
exciting.
lit. And
gonna be huge.
but the real thing, Matt, what's the real headline?
I love how
about
you
today?
had like all these really like deep mentions and stuff, and I'm going to mention one thing: Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is out on Disney Plus now.
Is it
It's
great?
live. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh my
I'm very
gosh.
excited, and like Damon said in the comments, I am fingers crossed that I can come on here next time and bloviate of how
It's
how
Andy
great it is.
Samberg and John Mulaney. I mean,
Oh, I'll be
I
watching
feel
it.
like
100%.
The trailers look so fun. It's
100%.
just, it
Thank you
knows
for the
what it
reminder.
is, and I just love the approach. And man, I'm just hoping. But with those two people, I'll pretty much watch anything those two people do anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm stoked.
So the point is, Comic Book Nation, we've just told you why. There is no reason you should not have a good weekend. There is content up the yin yang. You can read it, you can watch it, you can play it. Enjoy yourselves. This is Comic Book Nation, your one-stop spot for all things geek culture. We'll be back next week, like we said. Next week's going to be crazy. We already have a full show.
Yeah.
So be here because we are going to be going deep down the rabbit hole. Peace, guys.
Bye, guys.